This is the Dallas Morning News.
Hello and welcome to a new episode of SportsDay Rangers. I'm John Blake.
And I'm still Evan Grant.
We've reached the All-Star break. Not a ton has changed for the Rangers in the standings. Texas is 48-49, half a game ahead of the Angels in the AL West, but 8.5 games behind the Astros and trailing the Seattle Mariners as well.
The Rangers have climbed to within 3.5 games of the Mariners for the third American League wildcard spot after a 5-5 West Coast road trip that wound up with their first trip to the brand new Dakin Park. So that's a new stadium you're going to have to get to, John.
Yep. Like Dakin Donuts, right? No, it's Dunkin' Donuts.
Dakin Donuts,
right,
Dakin
right.
Park. It's a new stadium in Houston. Looks a lot like Globe Life Field.
Or Enron Field. So today we'll assess where the Rangers are ahead of a critical homestand that includes a 3-game series against the best team in baseball, but the Tigers will be coming in with a 4-game losing streak. We'll also talk to Rangers Hall of Famer and one of the best players ever to wear a Rangers uniform, Josh Hamilton. And we're going to revisit some of the highlights of that memorable home run derby in 2008.
And you're going to talk about some other some other All-Star game memories in the always popular archives in Arlington. If you are listening for the first time, let's get this out of the way because Josh Hamilton does not wait. I feel like we're burying the lead. We're talking to Josh Hamilton this week. But if you are listening for the first time, this is our weekly spinoff of the Dallas Morning News SportsDay Insider podcast. You can find it in the SportsDay Insider feed wherever you consume podcasts, and you can get 2 podcasts, 2 for the price of none.
If you want to interact with the show, you can follow both of us on X. I'm Ranger Blake, and he's Evan_P_Grant.
And you can reach out to the Dallas Morning News on any of the paper's social media channels. You know me. I'm always willing to respond on Twitter. John ignores people.
Evan has a lot of constituents, but that'll be a story for another day.
Bottom of the ninth, bases loaded. Here comes Jimmy Dale from Baker Brothers Plumbing, AC, and Electrical.
Thanks, Chuck. When your home pitches curveballs, Baker Brothers knocks it out of the park.
Home run, Baker Brothers. Incredible.
As the official home service partner of your Texas Rangers, we're offering $300 off a tank or tankless water heater.
Another winning call. Visit callbakernow.com or dial 214-342-1171 today.
Baker Brothers.
Great service.
So we've reached the All-Star break. Rangers are 48-49, Evan. They went 5-5 on the trip, took 2 out of 3 in Houston. Where do you assess this team here at the All-Star break and 97 games into the season?
Well, I think there's 2 ways to look at it, John. I mean, I kind of wrote this at the end of the first half that, you know, if you take the 30,000-foot view, 48-49 is not where this team expected to be. Third place or third place in the American League West and 5th place in the wild card standings, not where this team expected to be. This team expected to be contending for an AL West championship, and at the moment, that's not the case. But I'm also going to look at it from a little bit of a granular view, and that is that this team just finished a really arduous stretch of the schedule. They played the last 37 games leading up to the All-Star break. 25 of those were on the road, and as we know, this team has not played well on the road for much of the last 2 years. They went 19-18 in that 37-game stretch. They did go 5-5 on this 10-game road trip, and you and I both know how hard 10-game road trips are on teams, especially when you add that third city. Add an exponential factor when you add in that the third city was Houston, where they went down there. They've had a horrible time, and they went down there and they won a series. So I feel like this first half has been perplexing, confounding, frustrating. You can use any word you want to use, really. But at the same point in time, I think you have to look at this last 6-week stretch and say it's been at least a little bit encouraging.
What do you look at like in July now? If you look at the games in July, the Rangers are tied for first in the majors in runs. Now, I know that's a little bit misleading because of a couple of games, but they're hitting over 270 in that stretch, which is in the upper top 5 of the league. So offensively, I think you've seen some positive things. And the lineup, and they're not doing it with the long ball necessarily. They've been doing it more, being able to move the line along and playing a little better fundamental baseball offensively.
I know before Saturday's game in Houston, they were hitting .379 with 2 outs and runners in scoring position, which is a situation that had absolutely befuddled them all the first half. They had a really rough game on Saturday night. 19 strikeouts, no walks, 2 for 17 and runners in scoring position, and still went to the bottom of the 11th with a chance to win that game. Had they won that game, it would have been the second time in history a team won a 19 strikeout game with no walks. So they were fighting the odds there. What I did like was they were down in the 8th inning in that game, and they came back to tie it. What I did like also is they came back on Sunday and they got back to their more productive and efficient ways. They scored in the first inning with the second inning with a big 2-out hit with a runner in scoring position. They manufactured a run with Alejandro Osuna and a sacrifice fly. For me, the Rangers did more things that suggested the resilience that Bruce Bochy likes to talk about. They've talked about resilience all first half. I'm not sure I saw a ton of resilience until the last week, when even in the losses, it seemed like the Rangers got down and battled their way back.
So 4-day All-Star break for essentially the entire team. Jacob deGrom is going to Atlanta, but the only real action will be when he tips his cap during the introductions. Who do you think can use the rest during this break? With the bullpen, obviously, which was running on fumes a lot here over the last 10 days.
Well, let's just face facts, John. I mean, the All-Star game, the best part of the All-Star game is when players tip their hats. And now that they're wearing their own uniforms again, it's going to be it's a fun moment. After that, the game, there's no real chance for guys to excel because they basically all take one at bat, and then you give way to the reserves. So, and in Jacob's case, he ain't going to top what he did, with the exception of an immaculate inning. I mean, he had a 10-pitch strikeout the side inning in 2016. So, all things concerned, Jacob is in the right place and doing the right thing. We can argue about Nathan Eovaldi, who really, pitching-wise, his numbers suggest that he should be in the All-Star game. To answer your question, this is by and large the answer. This bullpen needs a rest. In a lot of ways, this bullpen, I asked Bruce Bochy about this on Sunday, this bullpen has been a victim of its own reliability. The Rangers have 6 guys who have pitched in 35 or more games this first half. They've all stayed healthy. They've all answered the bell. And as you've gotten into the latter stages of the first half, some of that workload came down, on them. Also, you tried to manage deGrom's innings a little bit more in the last stretch of the first half. Eovaldi was coming back from his IL stint, so he was going shorter. So that added another level of workload there. And I think that what Nathan Eovaldi did on Sunday in going 7 2/3 innings after an 11-inning game, this is a guy who just understands the assignment. It was still important to give those guys a day's rest that day, and now they get this 4 days rest. I think it puts the bullpen back in order the way the Rangers would like it.
And do you think John Gray, obviously, had a little bit with the rain out in Round Rock yet on a Sunday, didn't get his second rehab start. Can Rangers expect John Gray here in the second half to provide them a boost out of that bullpen?
I think, look, they're still going to – what makes sense is to prepare him as a starter, and that means getting him up to 5 innings, okay? But I still think that as things stand right now, the likelihood is that John Gray is going to come back and help this bullpen as a multi-inning guy. Maybe a 2-inning guy, maybe in some cases a 3-inning guy. But the first thing you've got to do is you got to build him up to more than an inning or two. And that's what the Rangers are going to do the next 10 days. They could bring him back the last week before the trade deadline if the first 10 days of the second half go really poorly and maybe show him off for some teams as a potential trade piece. Or they could, get to August, keep this team together and say, we're going to put John Gray in the back of the bullpen. And hopefully at that point in time, Josh Sborz has made a little bit more progress in his rehab. and maybe they've got 2 reinforcements coming for the bullpen, which is the biggest place this team needs to add at the deadline anyway. And if you've got 2 veteran experienced arms that you can recall in that situation, you may be in better shape than you think.
And just one other question here about the schedule. You mentioned the road warriors here over the last 37 games. Coming into the start of the second half, 18 of 24 will be at Globe Life Field. Now, there are some tough customers in that stretch with the Tigers and the Yankees and the Phillies. And even the Braves obviously are always dangerous. But it does give the Rangers a chance here to make a little hay at home.
Listen, over the second half of the season, the Rangers have more home games than any team in the American League. They have 36 of their remaining games at home. Yes, the Tigers do come in, but they start the second half with a 10-day homestand with Detroit, the Athletics, who have no home, and Atlanta. And as good as the Braves have been traditionally, they are struggling this year. And the Braves may start to peel some pieces off this year as well. You've got a right around the deadline, right as the deadline hits, you've got that 4-day series in Seattle, which is going to be huge for the Rangers at that point in time. But to your point, John, even though the schedule is hard in the second half in terms of winning percentage, I'd much rather have a home field advantage over the stretch of the second half than having to play a significant number of games on the road. Let me just point out one other fact. One of the teams the Rangers need to catch up to in the wild card race is Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay played a preponderance of their games at home because of the hurricane and weather situations in Florida in the first half. I think there's a 9-game difference in home and road splits for the Rangers and the Rays in the second half. I think it's 4 or 5 games with Seattle. I don't have the numbers in front of me right now, but they've got a significant advantage there, and it does create some opportunities for the Rangers to make up ground. The one thing I don't like is that there aren't a ton of games for the Rangers against these teams that they're chasing in the wild card race. They don't have any more games with Tampa Bay. They don't have any more games with Boston. So they're going to have to play really well. It's a challenge. They put themselves in this position with their poor play in the first half, but there is an opportunity for this team to play better.
Well, we'll see what happens here out of the break. Big homestand, as we've discussed. So let's move on to the most excitement, I think, on this podcast. I'm really excited about our guest on the podcast. It's Josh Hamilton. He's one of the best players I've ever seen, a perennial MVP candidate on the Rangers' first 2 World Series teams. And we'll talk to one of the most popular Rangers of all time coming up next. Our guest on this week's SportsDay Rangers played 9 seasons in the major leagues with the Reds, most notably the Rangers from 2008 to 2012, and again in 2015, and with the Angels in 2013 and 14. With Texas, was a 5-time All-Star, started 5 consecutive All-Star games, 3 Silver Sluggers, has the 3rd highest all-time slugging percentage in team history at .542 and an OPS at .901. Led the American League in RBIs and total bases in 2008 and was the 2010 American League MVP with a .359 average, still a club record, and was the ALCS MVP that year when the Rangers defeated the Yankees. And we'll get into this, the 16th player with 4 home runs in a game in 2012 at Baltimore. He is a 2019 Texas Rangers Hall of Fame inductee, and we're very happy to have Josh Hamilton. Josh, thanks for joining us. So just to start out, you're in Georgia right now. You've spent the summer kind of going around as kind of the softball dad. So how's that going?
It's going good. It is busy. But it's a lot of fun. It's been fun to see the process of my daughter trying to figure out the game and put the work in to get better and to be able to help her with that, and to see her grow through the process, and to get to know the girls on the team and kind of help them a little bit here and there, and then I'd sit back and just watch the games. And I tell you what, I get more nervous watching her play than I ever did playing myself. Promise you that.
So, all right. So Michaela is 16, right? And she's playing
Yes.
for a club out of the Houston area?
No, she's in a club right out of Keller, American Freedom.
Okay. And what position does she play, Josh?
She's outfield in select ball. During school ball, they put her wherever they need her. Like last year, she played shortstop. She'd never played shortstop before. She pitched a little bit, which she does not like pitching. And she was so happy when select ball came around, she could get back to the outfield.
Has she got a nice, sweet left-handed swing like her papa?
No, she's a righty. But I tell you what, she can hit. We're working on the power part of the game. She still hasn't hit a homer yet. But we got a bet. If she hits a homer, she gets a little puppy. But she hits line drives up the middle, other way in the gap, and she can run a little bit.
So you said you get nervous watching her. What is it like as a father and with your background? What is it like to be at the game and there are still obviously people who are going to recognize you and come up to you to just try and watch your daughter play softball?
Yeah, they're pretty. People, maybe once or twice in the past 4 years during the game, they'll bug me. But for the most part, people respect the fact that I'm there watching the game. They'll wait till after the game's over or, catch me right before. So the funnest part is some of the umpires. I cut up with them and then they figure out who I am. And then they're like, can I get a picture after the game? I'm like, well, it depends on how good a game you play. But it's been a lot of fun.
That's good. That's good. Listen, I want to get into this interview, but it's been I can't believe I'm saying this. It's been 10 years since you played for the Rangers. Mm-hmm. And I think that your legend is going to live on forever here. And I think the one thing that fans want to know is, how are you doing? How's life going? How's everything going? You're obviously a very proud father at this point in time. How would you say life is going at this point?
Right now, the family's in a good spot as far as on my end, and we're enjoying school. The girls are doing great in school, and they go to Grapevine Faith, and they're enjoying their friends, enjoying their teachers, enjoying that life, and then they're playing sports. And my youngest one wants to be a equine vet one day, so she's got aspirations, and it's good to see there's each kid is different, and trying to pour into each one of them's lives and to help manage that relationship of putting your best into whatever it is you do. Find a passion or find something to be passionate about. It doesn't matter what it is, and we've supported them on that, so they're still trying to figure it out, and it's been a fun ride. It's been a hard ride at times, but been a blessing at the same time.
You have never been nothing but honest, and it's good to see you just enjoying your family. That's a great next chapter. I know John's got a bunch of questions. We'll get back to baseball in a second, but go ahead, John.
Well, I was just going to say, we were hoping you could come back for the Hall of Fame for Elvis a couple of weeks ago, but you were out of town on softball. Yeah. And you did come back for the All-Star game last year to do a few things over in Ballpark Village. But you said you'd never been in the ballpark, but I think we're trying to get you up there in August to kind of honor you a little bit. This is the 15th anniversary of the 2010 team, and we're trying to, we've done some things, and Elvis's Hall of Fame ceremony, obviously, we had a lot of guys back for that, but that should be pretty cool. And we're hoping that you'll be able to get back a little bit more associated with the club.
Yeah, it's one of those things where I would love to do that. But you know me, it's one of those things that'll hopefully be there as the girls work through their high school and graduate and move on. But it's one of those things where when you're playing the game, you miss so much that when you have the opportunity, when you're done, and the girls or any kids are still active and pursuing their own dreams, you want to be a part of them as much as you can. So. I would definitely love to get back around the ballpark and see the guys and talk to the new guys and encourage them. I look forward to that at some point.
Will you take a few swings when you get in that new park?
I don't know, man. I don't know. I guess I can tell this, but I went up to when we were in Colorado. Shane Kelly, who was with me for quite a while. He reached out to me and said Clint Hurdle's trying to get a hold of me, and wanted to know if I was going to come to Colorado at all this summer. And so I didn't ever talk to Clint before I went, but the place I rented was a town home, I guess, had a basement and then had a rooftop you could walk up on. And I'll be daggone, when I walked down the rooftop, I was looking right at Rocky Stadium. And so I called Clint, and I was like, Clint, I said, I said, where you at, this and that. And he said, when are you coming to Colorado? I said, I just landed and just got to the house here a few minutes ago. He said, I want you to come talk to the guys, if you will. I said, all right, I'll do that. So I went to the park one day. The girls had a day off while they were there, and I went and I kind of, just dressed out and, hung out early batting practice and in the cage with the guys. And then I went and was fortunate enough to share some things with them in their hitters meeting. It's about the game, about struggles, and about just how to move forward together as a team. And it was a whole lot of fun. I don't watch baseball since I've been out. I haven't watched baseball, but because the more I watch it, the more I want to be around it. And so I was like a little kid in the candy store, back in the batting cage. And I may have, I wasn't supposed to, because I had knee surgery, in November, a big one, and I'm still doing rehab with that. But I had a scope done in my left one 10 days before I was there. I may have jumped in the cage and hit a few off the tee and rolled over on the first one. That was the only one I rolled over on.
I think that would be, I think if you came and took a BP session, that might be a ticket selling opportunity. I think a lot of people would like to see that. And speaking of BP, I think that, look, we're having you on at this point in time for a specific reason. We're right up against the All-Star break. And I thought John should have just introduced you as like the guy who authored more incredible moments in Rangers history than anybody who has ever come before. I want to talk to you about the 2008 Home Run Derby, because it was just such an incredible moment. I think the greatest moment in Home Run Derby. And I just watched the video again of the whole performance. What do you remember? Like, what sticks out for you about that night in Yankee Stadium?
I think exactly the word you just used. It was a performance, and it was something, in batting practice, from the time you're in high school to being drafted to, going to the big leagues and making it, batting practice, I've always loved to kind of awe people, I guess you could say, or, not really focus on it, but when you're in the cage and you leave the cage from your round, like listen to people talk, you don't go up to them when they're talking, but they're talking and you can hear them chatting about what just happened.
You like to leave them oohing and awing a little bit.
Yeah. And so, you never, it wasn't until I got to the big leagues of Cincinnati that I saw a former player, and I can't remember who it was, but he was like, yeah, I used to come out in the minor leagues when you were playing early on and watch you take batting practice. He said, and then the second day, the whole team was out there because I said, have you guys seen this? And so, just to have guys come out and, kind of have that just, experience of, me doing what I was doing, but I didn't realize I was doing what I was doing. I was just being me, was pretty fun. So being able to be on that stage, and how important a moment that was, because, I'd had the dream that I was in a home run derby, and it was Yankee Stadium, and I was talking to a woman afterwards, and I didn't see how I did, but being able to share the Lord with, with thousands of people there and millions of people at home was the main key. And it never was about winning, because he didn't show me that I'd won or lost or how many I hit, but it was about putting on a show and kind of getting everybody's attention so I could share. And so just that whole process of, I think it was the first one in Yankee Stadium, first home run derby, like official home run derby.
Yes, yeah, it's true. Yep.
And then it was the last year of Yankee Stadium.
Correct. Yep.
I don't know if you guys noticed this, but when I'm hitting, they had a countdown on the clock on the days left out there, and it said 32 days left.
Your number?
Games. Yep. And so I'm like, oh man, this is all kind of setting up. It couldn't be more perfect than this. But just after hitting that first one, and then Ken's saying, "Hey, hit the back wall at some point." And then the second swing, I hit the back wall, and he comes running up, all happy and giddy, and we hug, and I do a little hat tip to the crowd back there. I wasn't doing it to the crowd. My mom and dad and brother and everybody was sitting back there. I couldn't see where they were at. I just knew they were back there. So I did that to them, and then after that, it was the buildup of just. I think I got to 8 outs and then hit 13 in a row or something like that.
13.
Yeah, so it was pretty amazing. And I remember what's his face, Morgan, saying he needs to make it out and get to the gold ball and win some money. I'm like, that would have been a great idea, but I couldn't stop or couldn't figure out how to do it different. And but it was fun seeing all guys on both sides jumping up and having a good time and hearing the fans. In Yankee Stadium, we were there like a week or 10 days before, and the outfield's, chanting crackhead, in unison. And then we go, and then it's, they're chanting Hamilton, and then exploding, and they're like, oh, they hit another one. And then when we played there later in the year, a fan tried to start that crackhead chant, and the fans booed him.
Oh, wow.
So it was pretty dramatic swing from chanting that to Hamilton to.
Oh, you won them over. There's no doubt. And I mean, the thing that stuck out for me on the video watching it again is just the number of times like you step back. Obviously, in the middle of hitting 28 home runs, it's exhausting.
Yeah.
But you step back a couple times, and it is like you just did appreciate the moment. Like you could see your eyes are so expressive, and they've always been expressive, that you could just see that you were experiencing that moment.
It was a special moment. It was, I don't know how many I would hit now in a new format, and I don't think guys can appreciate it as much as that other format, because you can take your time, you can take pitches, and you can really just enjoy the moment, And if we're in the format like now, you can't do that. I mean, you can call a timeout and catch your breath, but you can't step back and just really get the fans involved in it.
Oh, you changed the Derby. You changed the Derby.
They can't enjoy watching a ball fly because the next one's already gone.
That's my biggest problem with it.
But people don't remember, actually, and poor Justin Morneau won the Derby that year. Well, he beat you in the finals 5-3.
Yeah. I talked to Morneau about that last year with the All-Star game in Arlington. I talked about it and how he felt like the bad guy. He knew he was going to win, and he felt like the bad guy at that point in time.
Yeah. No, I think he was the guy who was supposed to be in that moment because he handled it with such dignity, and I mean, he just was humble about the whole thing. And I saw him at the hotel when we got back. We actually walked in together, and when we got in the elevator, I said he was holding the trophy, and he had a like a little velvet like type sack over it or whatever. I said, let me look at it, and he pulled it down, and I said, that's awesome, man. I said, congratulations again. He said, you too, man. He said that was an awesome show.
Josh, you start with that moment, and I've said this to people. I don't know. You're among the greatest players I've ever watched. I don't know if I can categorize 1 through 5, but I do know this for a fact. You authored more incredible moments than any single player I watched. You had that knack for the ability to just, in the biggest moments, deliver these incredible performances. You thrived on that, didn't you? I mean, how much did that kind of get you going?
It did. As a player, you should want to be in those moments. I mean, you think about back to playing in the yard as a kid, wiffle ball, whatever. I mean, you say these crazy moments out loud, and I think sometimes guys forget that they grew up that way, and sometimes they get overwhelmed by just pressure, I guess, in general, the atmosphere. I mean, because nothing changes in the game. Everything's the same between the lines from the time we were T-ball to to the big leagues. The only thing that changes is your surroundings, how big the stadiums are, how many people are watching. So if you can focus on that moment, and I had moments where, I was put in pressure situations where maybe I wasn't having, maybe I was in a slump, or maybe things weren't going the way I wanted them to go, but was still able to, quote unquote, clear the mechanism, I guess you could say. Like For Love of the Game?
Yep.
When the guy's up there pitching, he's like, clear the mechanism, and it just, everything just kind of drowns out. So it's, hey, I remember, before that All-Star game in 2008, I came up against, what was the guy's name? Closer for the Angels. And I hit the walk-off.
Francisco Rodrigo.
Yeah.
Yeah, Rodrigo. Yeah.
Right.
K-Rod.
Rodriguez. Yep.
But I was in the outfield. I was in right field that night, and man, I was struggling. I hadn't hit a home run in quite a while, and I was like, man, I felt like the enemy was telling me, like, enemy, I mean, the man downstairs, that I wasn't good enough and I couldn't do this, and like all these things were running through my mind, and I was like, it's like, what? And it's exactly what I tell my girls now when they tell me, hey, I can't do it, or I just, whatever they're doing, they're failing at it, and they're like, I can't do it. And so I used this simple 3 little liner. I said, remember this. I said, girls, I can, because I have done it before. I can do it because I have done it before, and I will do it again. So you can't let what's going on right now in this moment, your failure, define your future efforts and your future goals and dreams. Because if you've done it before, if you can do it because you've done it before, I have done it, and I will do it again. And that's kind of the mentality you have to have. And that's the great thing about baseball is, and especially, as you get to a higher level, you do it so much. The day before, it doesn't matter because it's gone and over with. You got a new chance at it today. So I think that's why I was able to do what I did, because I had a memory like a goldfish, 10-second memory.
It's necessary in this game. It really is.
What was it like, those 10, 11, and 12 teams? I mean, Ranger fans still gravitate to that. And every time, we put a guy in the Hall of Fame or whatever from that era, and these guys, they still have that chemistry. What was it like for you playing with that group of guys?
It was special. I mean, I think about it a lot too. I mean, when you talk about sports teams, you can have all the talent in the world on a team, but if they don't buy into it together and they don't love each other and have each other's back, they're not going to succeed like they're capable of. And those 3 years, the guys we had and the guys we added bought into it. And it didn't matter if you were a starter every night or the guy that came off the bench. Everybody had that equal, everybody was equal. If a guy came off the bench, all the starters were cheering for him wholeheartedly and meant it. Everybody was engaged, and being able to, come up with some stupid, funny claw and antlers and all that stuff, and getting the fans involved in it. It was fun to see from the end of 2009 through 10, the end of 2009 when, fans, if it was the 7th inning and we were down by 5, fans would start trickling out. And then you got the end of 2009 to 10 to 11, those fans, if we were down by 6 with 2 outs in the 9th, it was still packed.
Right.
They just had that feeling of belief, like, hey, we've seen it before and these guys can do it, so we're not going to miss it. And that's the feeling we had too as players. Like, it's not over till the last out's made. And that's the mentality we had. And we got to pitching because it's all about pitching, baby. You can score. It wasn't 2008. I think we had, I don't know how many games we'd score 10 or 11 runs and still lose.
Rangers
And
kind
it
of
was
have the opposite problem this year. I know you're not watching a lot of baseball, but that's kind of the issue this year. They're not giving up many runs, but they're not scoring many.
Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, just the chemistry of those teams. And like I said, it wasn't about one individual player. We cut up with each other. We loved each other. We had each other's back. And it was and we knew we had the ability to win. And that's what we did. I mean, that's what we focused. If a team beat our butts one night, it was a fluke because we come out the next night and do it to them. So we were able to bounce back really quick.
Josh, that is one thing that I think really worked so well for those teams is that everybody did have each other's backs. There was a level of communication. There was a level of engagement. There was a level of involvement. Did that just happen organically, or was there something that kind of created that?
It really does start with coaching staff. I mean, when you put guys together and have the talent to play the game, we police ourselves to a certain point, but you have to have the leader and a coach, a bench coach, a first base coach. I mean, everything has to work together because we interact with the coaches just as much as we do each other. And so if we feel like those guys have our back, it takes pressure off us as players to just be who we are and to put the work in and to want to put the work in because you want to play. You want to put the work in if you want to play for somebody.
And Wash inspired that, I'm assuming.
Do what?
Wash inspired that.
Yeah. Wash and Gary Pettis and even Clint when he was there in 2010. Maddox. Missing. Why am I missing the bench coach? I can't.
Jackie Moore.
Jackie Moore. I mean, just all those guys. When the coaches work well together, I mean, it's just like when parents parent together. I mean, the kids are gonna, get what they need in a home environment, and that's when you got good coaching staffs. That's what they're doing. We're grown men, but I mean, we're still playing a kid's game, and for them to figure out how to put it all together and run the lineups out there every night, and give guys days off when they need them, and still win ball games.
And you had a special group of players too. It was an amazing group.
It was. I mean, it really was. I mean, from 2000. I mean, even go back to 2008, we had a good group of guys. We were just missing two or three key players. But yeah, to think about Vladdy and 10, and just it was fun, and getting Lee and Cliff and some other pitchers is John and JD and Nolan. They did a good job from top down putting things together,
sure,
and making it work.
So you came back, and Evan mentioned this a little earlier, 10 years anniversary of that 2015 team. You were able to come back to the Rangers and trade with the Angels. And then you had a lot of injuries in 2015, but you got to play and contribute to a team that did win the American League West title on the last game of the season against the Angels. What was it like to be able to come back and kind of finish your career in Texas?
It was fun and painful. I had a lot of injuries, John. If I could have only been injury-free and played 20 years, who knows what I'd done. Can't think that way, but yeah, getting back to Texas, I was very, very happy about being able to come back to Texas. Obviously, to a new core group of guys and stuff. Beltre was still there, and Prince was there, but they welcomed me in, and it's one of those things where I wasn't the guy anymore, and I was okay with that. but I wanted to help the team as much as I possibly could. Be the best they could be, and being able to, come back in that situation. And then it was like at some point there, shortly after, the switch flipped, and we started getting after it. And we started having we had that reminiscence of the old, 2010, 11, 12 team of just cutting up with each other, playing hard. Everybody, whoever stepped in for whoever, got the job done, and played and played for the team and played for the city. And so I think, was it the day before? Was it the second day? I can't remember which day it was. I hit 2 homers against the Angels. Was it the day before?
Yeah.
The last game?
Yeah.
I can't remember, but I thought we had that one won.
That was a wild game.
Right? That was a crazy game.
Yes, it was.
Because I came out of the game, and I remember, I came back, my knee was hurting me, and I just felt like it wasn't stable, and, didn't play for like 3 weeks or something like that. And then I think in San Diego, I hadn't played for 3 weeks, and then I got a pinch hit against, was it Wagner? I think it was.
God, your memory's better than me on those things.
Yeah, is it Billy Wagner who was the left-handed?
It was Billy Wagner, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. So I got a hit against him, and then we ended up winning that game. And then I think I ended up having surgery, to clean my knee out. And then 6 days later, I started in left field, and, I made a catch. Victorino hit a ball to the wall, and I made a catch sliding into the wall and hit my knee on the wall. And after the game, it looked like a balloon that was swollen so big. And I remember talking to Doc. I was like, Doc, it doesn't hurt. He was like, yeah, but we'll get the fluid out, man. It'll feel a lot better. As soon as he pulled it out, I'm like, oh my God, put it back in. It started hurting so bad, man. I was like, put it back in. He said, well, I can't put it back in. I'm like, you got to figure something out.
Yeah, I mean, the idea that your career was cut short by the number of injuries, and I still remember sitting down with you in 2016 at spring training and just talking about what you still wanted to accomplish, and unfortunately that didn't come to be. And it just it blows me away that it's been 10 years since you last played on a big league field, and I'm just glad to see you in a good place, and I think a lot of Ranger fans are going to be as well. We go back 18 years now, Josh, and I still will never forget the day I met you in North Carolina, and you. I think we had a drug tester come to the house that day, and you said to me, hey, do you want to see me pee? And I was like, nah, I'm okay on that. I'll trust you. But you've always been authentic, honest, charming. I know that in the reporter-player relationship, we've had moments where there was some tension. But my goodness, what a tribute, or what a treat it has been to watch your career. And I think it's a real treat to see you now really taking joy from being around your daughters. I'm glad you're in a good place, man.
I appreciate it, Evan.
And I appreciate it, too. We went through some stuff, and you were always stand up when we needed to get something done. And it was, there are players. I've been doing this now 47 years, Josh, and there are players that come along that you work with that you'll never forget how you worked with them and how they worked with you. And you're right at the top of that list, so I appreciate it.
I appreciate it, John. You guys and fans don't realize, they think I struggle like all the time. Those were like just moments, when I struggled. Those were one-off things, and it wasn't like it was an everyday. Oh my God, he's falling off. No. It was like, okay, circumstances and situations, of my life, I allowed to take over instead of working through them. I just had a moment of weakness and went out and did something stupid. So I hate I did it. But, I also, like John said, always fessed up to what I did. And because it was something that needed to be said to help somebody else who was having a hard time at some point there. So both of you guys, it was fun. I picked with y'all sometimes, and y'all were good sports about it. But I always have fond memory of you guys too. And thank y'all for making it a little bit more fun to come to the park.
Well, Josh Hamilton, as usual, was candid and out there, and what a great interview, and it's good to see him doing so well there, Evan.
It really is. I'm just happy that Josh is enjoying life.
Well, let's tackle the archives in Arlington for this week, and since it is All-Star Week, and
Crack open the vault.
Right, and thank God that it's not last year when we were hosting this. Let's look at some quick All-Star memories from the Rangers, and I'm just going to run through a few of these that meant something to me. The Rangers in their early days didn't have a lot of All-Stars. 1989 was really the first game. We had 2 starters that year, and Julio Franco and Ruben Sierra. Nolan Ryan was the winning pitcher, pitched 2 shutout innings and became the oldest winner ever. And then there were MVPs in 1990. Julio Franco won the MVP with a double in Chicago. And then we get to 2003, which was a game that I will always remember, and Major League Baseball brings it up time and time again whenever they see me. Hank Blaylock came up as a pinch hitter in the bottom of the 8th inning at I guess at that point, I don't know what it was called.
Still Comiskey Field at that point.
Right.
Comiskey Park.
Comiskey Park, the new Comiskey Park. Hit a 2-run homer off Eric Gagne, pinch hit homer in the bottom of the 8th to give the American League basically the game-winning home run. They'd been down in this game 5-0, and that was the year Gagne, I think, saved recorded 45 consecutive save opportunities.
He was
converted. He was
automatic.
Amazing. So the MVP vote comes out, and Garrett Anderson, who was 3 for 4 in the game, and he hit a home run in the 6th inning or something that made it 5-1. American League came back after that, and he was named the MVP. Well, as the PR guy, and I was on site, I was not real happy. And that was the first year that MLB.com was giving part of the vote to the fans. Well, they opened it up in the 6th inning. So Garrett Anderson was getting all those votes, and by the bottom of the 8th, the voting had pretty much been decided. So I was in the press box. I went down, stormed on the field, and saw Rich Levin and Pat Courtney
from Major League Baseball.
And they could see me coming. And it was I told Hank I did everything I could, but Garrett Anderson won the MVP.
I still don't know. I mean, people have seen you on TV, slashing your throat and other things, but I don't know that anybody quite knows the explosiveness of the John Blake temper at the peak of John Blake's career. So just understand that, in the Major League Baseball offices, it is kind of legendary that they have to manage John a little bit.
And that was a bad one. I'll admit that, and probably one that I will regret. But I still to this day believe that he should have been the MVP of that World Series. And then
All-Star game.
All-Star game, sorry. And then, of course, 2006 at Pittsburgh, Alfonso Soriano wins the MVP at Houston, had a couple of hits and everything.
It's a non-entity of the game.
And then 2006 at Pittsburgh, Michael Young hits a 2-run triple, game-winning triple off Trevor Hoffman in the top of the 9th inning. And then what most people don't remember, like we talked earlier, 2 years later, he had the game-winning walk-off sacrifice fly in that 15-inning game at New York in 2008. And the thing I do remember about that game is the American League was out of pitching. And I was working for the Red Sox then, so Terry Francona was the manager. I was in the dugout. And J.D. Drew was going to pitch the 16th inning for the American League. We were out of pitching. And ironically, J.D. Drew was the MVP of the game. He hit a 2-run homer to tie it in the late innings. But and that was at the time there were no more ties, and you basically had to suck it up and get through it. And then the last ones I'll bring up here were 2011, 2012, when Ron Washington managed the All-Star team.
Right.
And we lost 5-1 in 2011, and then 8-0 in 2012, and the 2011 loss stung a little bit because it meant the National League had the home field advantage in the World Series, and as it turned out, that became a huge factor, obviously, when the Rangers went to St. Louis.
Yeah, but surely you didn't have anything to do with constructing the American roster.
Actually, at that time, I was still involved in that. Yes.
What were you involved in, John?
Well, I had to work with Wash. At that time, the manager was still doing the pitchers.
Yes.
And the reserves. I mean, we still had to fill out roster spots.
Correct.
On that team. So I was involved in helping fill out certain roster spots. I did not manage the game, no. But
can we say that you cost the Rangers the 2011
I
World
wish
Series?
you wouldn't, but I do feel that we but I mean, I don't know what we could have done.
Were you in the dugout in the World Series and telling Nelson Cruz
No,
to go out the
no,
right?
I was not there. I was
then
behind the
probably
dugout.
not. We probably won't blame it on you.
But in 2012, and then we'll end it with this, Justin Verlander was the starting pitcher for and we thought we were in great shape.
Right.
Well, Verlander went out and gave up 5 runs in the first inning, and I remember Wash was not a happy man at that point. And we had 8 All-Stars that year. I mean, we were well represented in that game. But and then of course now they've changed the rules, and the manager has nothing to do with it. But back then, I still felt like I had a little part.
Yeah, it's weird. The 2 All-Star games, the 2 Ranger All-Star appearances or 3 that I recall are Blaylock's home run, Michael's MVP performance in the triple, and then Michael's sacrifice fly to win the 08 games. Nothing else outside of Josh's All-Star, the home run derby performance, really sticks out for me. I will say this, there was that moment that you had, I think, 6 All-Stars on the field in 2023.
Right.
And Adolis and Randy Arozarena had kind of traded great moments and great catches in the first inning there. Those moments stick out, but yeah,
none of those guys had any factor in the game, if you remember.
Right.
I mean, we didn't get a hit. I don't think we had a hit among the 5 position players.
But for me, that is the thing. The All-Star game has become it's always been an exhibition, but it has just become kind of a parade of, we're going to run a guy out. You can clap for a guy. He'll take an at bat or he'll pitch an inning, and that's it.
Or we'll stick a microphone on him in the outfield. I mean, that's what it's kind of turned
into. And so the game has,
too.
and even to Josh's point, like the home run derby, he changed the home run derby. It changed because of him, and it hasn't changed for the better. To his point, watching guys continue to swing and not knowing where the flight of the ball is, it's hard to follow.
Right.
For me. Now, there's a different generation that really enjoys all of this.
They like the instantaneous.
But, I have lost some romanticism over the home run, over the All-Star game entirely. I will say this, that aside from the national anthem last year, I thought that the Rangers' performance and everything that went on here was a really nice show.
Well, you couldn't blame the national anthem on us. Give us credit for the first pitch ceremony. So that's going to do it for this week. Thank you for joining us on SportsDay Rangers.
Don't forget to check out more sports content from the Dallas Morning News, SportsDay's Insider. My podcast with columnist Kevin Sherrington appears in the same SportsDay Insider feed every week.
And if you have any questions for us, and again, we didn't have much time this week, I think we're still going to try to do that. You can ask us on X. I'm at Ranger Blake.
I think people are sending them in via snail mail.
Right. And Evan is at Evan P. Grant with the 2 underscores.
It's at Evan_P_Grant. Anyway, thanks to Josh Hamilton for joining us this week. It's a fantastic interview. Great to catch up with him. John and I will talk to y'all next week.